A note before we start. Even though I really like the source material for the game I'm reviewing, HomestarRunner.com in this case, I will try my hardest to make sure that no bias makes its way into this review. Because I know biased gamers. Oh, you mother fanboys. If you're an internet regular, you've probably heard the name Homestar Runner at least once or twice in your life. The wacky Flash cartoons gathered quite an interesting yet somewhat cult-like following, but certainly not without good reason. The humor is irreverent, off the wall, breaking the fourth wall, and just generally laugh-out-loud hilarious. Homestar Runner's humor in the first place is often deeply rooted in gaming. For example, the main menu of the game section of their site is designed like an English space shooter a la Zero Wing. Personally, I was shocked that a Homestar Runner game hadn't come out for consoles before. But after a few seconds of thought, I realized that making millions and millions of copies of a game that has such a small core market would probably scare away any developer or publisher with any sense in their head whatsoever. Then it hit me. Downloadable content. It's perfect. The budget wouldn't be too big. You could just download the game instead of them having to produce discs, and the core market would get what they wanted because they're savvy enough to know how to get it. Apparently, I'm pretty smart, because that's exactly what the Homestar Runner guys did, in cooperation with Telltale Games, the geniuses behind the point-and-click series Sam and Max. The result of this strange pairing? Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people, available for Wii and PC. Also, please note that this review was done in a Wii version of the game. When you're playing a DLC game, I don't think you're going to expect graphics in the level of anything extraordinary by this generation's standards. DLC has its file size limitations, and so graphics aren't going to look like eye candy. Since sheer power is out of the picture, it's all about style. Fortunately, SBCG4AP, as they call it, delivers in spades. The cel-shaded graphics are nearly seamless, creating an almost unique cartoony look. However, this dreamlike state only lasts for a few minutes until you get to a close-up, during which you can make out some of the stretched textures and rough edges on models. Also, some of the character designs really weren't meant for 3D. For example, that little fold thing on Strong Sad's head just doesn't go into the third dimension without a few kicks and screams. Overall, though, Telltale did a great job with the graphics. They had their limitations, like the game being on Wii, which is the weakest system in terms of graphics to this generation of consoles, and the game being DLC, which means the file size limitations were already in place before the project started. Even so, Telltale managed to work around these barriers and created an experience similar to the Flash cartoon. Anyone with a brain in their heads knows that the story is a crucial part of a point-and-click game, and gladly, SBCG4AP does not disappoint. The story could be something straight out of a Homestar Runner Flash cartoon. Strong Bad hears that Homestar is entering a race and vows to sabotage it. He succeeds, but ends up putting Homestar into a depressed slump, which causes him to crash at Strong Bad's house. Your mission for the rest of the game? Get him off your couch and out of your house. Those who are familiar with the cartoon are probably chuckling or even laughing at this. Those who aren't fans are probably shaking their heads in confusion. This more or less summarizes the game's story. You really have to be a fan of the cartoon to enjoy the story to its full extent. However, if you are a fan, you will be laughing out loud for as long as it takes you to play the game. Probably about 3 or 4 hours due to it being an episodial game. And I'm serious. I don't think I even went about 2 minutes before bursting out into a fit of laughter from the game's hilarious writing. The script has to be one of the best I've seen in video games in recent years, thanks to the great work of Matt and Mike Chapman, the original creators of the Homestar Runner cartoons, who wrote the entire game script themselves. Long story short, if you don't watch the series, you probably won't laugh at the story, let alone get the game in the first place. But if you are a fan, prepare for a great ride. As anyone familiar with the genre knows, point-and-clicks aren't exactly the most engaging kind of game. There's pretty much no motor skills involved other than a few odd mini-games, and the rest of the game is simply running around, talking to people, and collecting objects. However, I think that a Homestar Runner point-and-click is a fine choice. Why? Because point-and-clicks are accessible. Not all the Homestar Runner core audience are gamers, so they might have problems playing a hardcore platformer or something of that type. Taking it for what it is, a point-and-click, the game is mediocre in terms of gameplay. You do the same old thing that you would do in any other kind of point-and-click. Collect items, add them to your inventory, talk to people, use those items in some situation later in the game. There are a few mini-games scattered around, such as playing things on Strong Bad's video game console, although only one game to play is available in the first episode, and taking pictures with a photo booth using clothes that you find scattered around the environment in cardboard boxes. In short, nothing revolutionary. But don't let that stop you. Strong Bad's universe of Free Country USA is so finely detailed, it'll probably take an experienced fan about 4 or 5 hours because they want to see every little thing. And it's all there. Everything from the stick, to the cheat, to the king of town, to Bub's concession stand, even to some areas that aren't regularly explored in the cartoon, like Coach Z's track and Marzipan's house. In addition, the mini-games are fantastic. My favorite would have to be Teen Girl Squad, the infamous stick figure cartoon drawn by Strong Bad. In this game, your objective is the same as usual, to do as much damage to the Teen Girl Squad's reputation and or physical persons in the allotted time. The more damage you do, the more points you get. It's a win-win situation. To summarize, SBCG4AP doesn't really do anything new for the point-and-click genre, but it doesn't have to, because the game world is so finely detailed and lovingly crafted. Here, Moogle's point is short and simple. If you don't like Homestar Runner, you probably won't like Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. However, if you do like Homestar Runner and you have a Wii or PC, go out and get this immediately. This review was only on the first episode, but if everything else is as good as this was, this is going to be one of the games to own on WiiWare, and it won't be a bad addition for your PC library either. So, all you Homestar Runner fans who always wanted a good Homestar Runner game, it's here. This isn't a cash-in, and you don't have to be afraid of disappointment. You won't find it. Hey, I'm the Moogle King. This is Sound Off for Insider 2. Thanks for listening.